The amount of rage that this show fills me with is indescribable. Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about Miraculous Ladybug. Now, disclaimer, I have not watched season 6 and I do not plan on it. I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm simply just going over the past few seasons, particularly season 1, and kind of stating what's wrong with it and rewriting it. So, yeah, just to let you know. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Miraculous Ladybug is one of the most popular shows on the internet, and when it first came out, it kind of took the world by storm. It was incredibly popular, and it has since accumulated and amassed a very large fandom. But the problem with Miraculous Ladybug is that it's not actually a good show. And before all the Miraculous Ladybug fans jump at me and rip out my throat, I want to clarify what I mean. For a lot of us earlier watchers, and I'm sure a lot of you who are older than the current fans, you probably didn't watch Miraculous Ladybug initially because you particularly loved the show. Or maybe you did, but for a lot of us, it was a show that had a lot of potential. It had a really, really good idea, a really, really good concept that, while done before, was intriguing enough that most of us were like, hey, let's give this a shot. Maybe it'll end up being really, really good. And it's the reason why now, 6 seasons deep, not a single good thing in sight, people still cling on to this show, because for a lot of us, it was a show that we hoped would get better. It was a show that a lot of us watched, not because it was necessarily good, but rather because we saw a lot of potential in it. Miraculous Ladybug was never good. It never had amazing show quality. It was honestly pretty regular, but the show was teeming with potential. In light of the 6th season being released, not that I've watched it, I'm going to be talking about the flaws and the issues in Miraculous Ladybug, and how I think this show truly could have been something amazing. In all honesty, I'm just talking about the first 2 seasons, because past a certain point, this show gets so bad that I don't even want to think about it. This video is not only an analysis and critique of Miraculous Ladybug, but also a sort of rewrite and design. I'm gonna split this video up into a few different sections. First, I'm gonna talk about the overall structure of the show, how many seasons I feel like it should have had, how the episodes should be structured, and why the current structure is very confusing. The next part I'm gonna be talking about is going to be about the characters, and how I think that they should act, and how I think that they should be portrayed. This is going to be how their changes are going to make them better and more compelling characters. Then the last portion I'm going to cover is the plotline and how these changes to the characters and their backstories affected. And I'm going to give Miraculous Ladybug an actual plotline. Now, a lot of this plotline is going to be inspired from fanfictions I've read or just in general other media that I've seen, so if something sounds familiar, that's why. Okay, let's start by talking about the really weird structure of the seasons and the episodes. The show has 5 seasons, I'm ignoring the 6th one, and honestly, it kind of just feels messy. There's no organization of structure in the way that episodes and seasons go, and the plot is virtually non-existent because of how the episodes are structured. I have this philosophy, and I apply this to pretty much every show that I watch. A perfect show is 3 seasons or less, and if a show has more than 5 seasons, it's not a good show. And the plot is just messy. It's gonna be stretched out. If you can't end your show in 5 seasons, then you need to change your plot. I know this is controversial, and a lot of people are not gonna agree with me on this, but I genuinely do not think that a show that has more than 5 seasons is a good show. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to this rule, but I've seen it happen time and time again. Enough that I feel like I've proved my theory. I've seen it happen with shows like Voltron. I've seen it happen with shows like Winx Club. I've also seen the application of this rule with shows like Avatar. It had a perfect 3 seasons, everything worked great. She-Ra is another example, it ended in 5 seasons. It was starting to go downhill a little, but then they ended it before it could have been a terrible show. So, in my opinion, Miraculous should have ended in 3 seasons or less, maybe even 2, and at max 5. Alright, let's talk about season 1 and the episode order. Now, before I start, I understand that most shows have to have a pilot episode to see if it's popular. Having said that, the Miraculous pilot episode should have been the Origins episode, and not Stormy Weather. The first episode, if you look online, is Stormy Weather, and that doesn't really make any sense to me. There's so many questions that you have in the first episode, like, who is Hawkmoth? Who are Ladybug and Chat Noir? Why are they superheroes? Why does Marinette like Adrian so much? Why does Chat Noir like Ladybug? Why are all these characters acting this way? Who is this character? Who is that character? What is the scenario that we're presented with? There's so many questions that the Origins episode answers, yet it's not the first episode? I understand they were trying to go for a sort of cartoon idea where there is no plot and they can just pump out more content and you don't need to understand the plot to watch, but they did include plot. There's a storyline, so it doesn't work if you structure the episodes in any which way you want. In my opinion, we should go, obviously, Origins episode first. This is your origin story. It is the defining moment of characters. You meet your main characters, you meet your antagonist, the world is established. It is the perfect first episode. Then there's a lot of characters, and some are more important than others, so I would put either Lady Wi-Fi or the Bubbler next, in order to further deepen and introduce Alia and Nino's characters. Then I would have a sort of filler episode, so throw in Mr. Pigeon. Then I would add an episode that established Chloe's character, one in which she has that primary antagonist role. So that could be Dark Cupid or Evil Illustrator. Evil Illustrator might be a good one to show Marinette's character as well. Then one that focuses on Adrian and the relationship between Marinette and Adrian. So I would put probably then Stormy Weather. The other episodes can sort of fill in between those, but I would put Antibug near the end as a way to establish Chloe's hero worship of Ladybug, and also as a way to work on her character growth and redemption arc in the future. Well, Peanut would be last, like always, introducing the concept of other Miraculous users, as well as dropping some lore. I'll go over the plot a bit more in the other section, but for now, I think this structure for Season 1 works a lot better than the previous order. Alright, let's move on to the next section, which is rewriting and redrawing the characters. So, let's start with Marinette. Now, I want the characters to be a little bit older because I feel like they are very young in the show, and I think aging them up allows for a lot more flexibility in the plot, especially since I think this show could be really, really dark and work well. So, I thought they should be older. I tried to have a similar color palette to her original design, tried to make her look older. I am not a good digital artist, so please don't be mean. I know my digital art absolutely sucks. I don't know how to do it. I swear I'm not this bad on paper, but for some reason digital art, the most difficult thing in the world. I don't know how to do it. I can't do it. I know it looks bad, but I tried my absolute hardest. I also tried to make her look a little bit more fashionable. Like, I tried to have some accessories and some cute pieces because she's supposed to be a fashion designer, but her outfit is really boring. So I thought at least with these, she has some interesting colors and, silhouettes. I don't really know anything about fashion, so I tried my best. And I did do another drawing where she has a better outfit, but that's for later. I think for her design, I wanted something feminine and something stylish because she has that in canon, but her character design never reflects that part of her. I also just love the idea of a main female lead who dresses more feminine and likes girly things and is still a very strong badass character. I feel like it's an undervalued character idea. Hot take. As Ladybug, she's gonna be similar, but a lot more serious and no nonsense. She's putting on a part of a superhero, and as such, she feels like she can't be herself. She is herself as a Marinette, not as Ladybug. So she feels a lot of pressure. Throughout the plot, she'll learn to incorporate her actual personality into Ladybug and take that leadership and confidence that she has as Ladybug and apply it to her civilian life. As far as her civilian personality goes, she's still shy, but she's a lot more confident. I wanted her to be confident in herself and her fashion, but still for her to be more on the shy side. I really heard her canon personality of quirky, not like other girls, so I wanted her to be a strong character that is shy, but still has confidence within herself, as she should. As far as her overall arc goes, let's say that she starts off kind of timid as her personality, except for fashion where she kind of lets herself shine. Throughout the show, she'll grow and become more self-assured in her everyday life. Her problematic and creepy behavior. Throughout the show, Marinette does various creepy, stalkerish, and very disturbing things because of her crush on Adrian. She steals his phone, she breaks into his house, she stalks him around trying to find out what he does and where he is. She actively treats other women who interact with him poorly and then tries to sabotage them. She blows her parents' life savings and lies to them on wanting to connect with her culture so she can go to Shanghai and be with Adrian. She is the definition of a creep and she needs to be called out about her creepy behavior. But the main issue is that she never does. Marinette in canon does all this creepy stuff, but she never gets called out or punished for her gross behavior. In fact, she's actively validated and cheered on by the other characters in the show, not just by her peers, but even adults too. Tiki never really calls her out, and even says that she's the best ladybug she's had, which Joan of Arc was also a ladybug, so okay. Her parents seem to be unaware, but there is one scene where she's literally attempting to break into Adrian's house, and a firefighter, an adult in a position of authority who has a responsibility to hold people accountable and stop them from doing criminal behavior, just lets her do it. It's insane! And because of this, and because of the writers, specifically Thomas Astruc, refusing to allow any sort of self-awareness or self-reflection for Marinette, and refusing to acknowledge her flaws and wrongdoings, she just gets creepier and creepier. So I don't want her to be completely irredeemable in a rewrite. I want her to be able to recognize her wrongdoings and be able to change, truly, because she acknowledges and understands that she was in the wrong. So she will be kinda weird. Not as weird as she is in the actual show, but she'll still be kinda creepy and still do weird things. However, unlike in canon, she would go through some major character development and either be called out by an adult, like her parents or someone else, or she herself realizes that her actions are not okay. Maybe she's watching a news story on a stalker, or maybe as Ladybug. Someone comes up to her for help with a stalker, and as they're talking about what their stalker or whatever the creep is doing to them and has done to them, she has this realization like, oh my god, am I acting this way with Adrian? I am. And, she's horrified and immediately just stops her behavior, reflects, and then just focuses on being a good friend to Adrian while trying to process her feelings in a normal way. I think this is the best course of action for her character and allows for her to work through her frankly incredibly unhealthy attachment / crush on Adrian because he was nice to her for like 0.2 seconds. And this can work really well with establishing a healthy ship later on, where Marinette spends time with him as a friend and starts to meet the real Adrian, and she actually then starts to love him truly for who he is, not the persona that he displays. And vice versa, Adrian can start to connect with Marinette and start to get over Ladybug and learn to be more vulnerable about himself around her and his friends. Speaking of Adrian, let's chat about his character. Chat, get it? Yeah, okay. So I have this drawing, and again, the same thing applies. I'm not great at digital art. Please don't be rude. I tried my best. But I wanted him to actually dress like a model. I thought that his outfit in the Baseline series was really basic and boring, and not in a high fashion boring, but a teenage boy picked this outfit type of boring. Considering that his team is supposed to make him look presentable all the time, I think if he wore outfits that are traditionally more neutral, basic, but still look good, and have a good overall silhouette would be perfect for him as a model. Again, I don't know a lot about fashion. I tried, and I'm really interested in it, but I'm not like an expert at all. So I looked at high fashion models and what they tend to wear, and there's a lot of basic staple pieces matched together, making sure that their hair and makeup and everything is exceptional. I also added in a lot of dark academia elements. I just felt like that sort of fit the vibe that I would imagine this Adrian to be. And in all honesty, these two rewrites should be kind of similar to what the 2D animated Ladybug trailer showed us. I look at that and I lament every day that that is not what we have. That art style is not what we have. That those characters are not what we have. And I would love a rewrite with that. So Adrian's personality would be very closed off, very cold, cool, calm, and collected. Basically, he would act like a rich son or heir of a fashion company and like a supermodel does. He is famous, he is globally known. You could call him the Bella Hadid of Miraculous. I don't know. So he can't trust anyone, he can't get close to anyone, he has to constantly watch his image and what he does and how people perceive him. So the only time that he can truly be himself is as Chat Noir. So he is wild, he is untamable. He likes Ladybug a little due to the first episode and her being super confident, but never to a creepy, pushy extent like he does in canon in the later seasons, which, side note, is such a disservice to his character. I hate it so much. He is very respectful to her and is more flirty than anything. And I actually want him to start to not like her romantically over time because he maybe starts to think that she is too serious and that she's too controlling for him. because he views Chat Noir as his escape, and she tells him that he needs to act a certain way as Chat, and that reminds him of his civilian life, and so he starts to see her as similar to his assistant, his team, Natalie, or his father. And as we go through the seasons, Ladybug starts to be a lot more like Marinette, so she learns to manage her stress and be more herself, and Chat Noir learns to manage his freedom as Chat, and he starts to open up more as Adrien to his friends. So now he has more outlets, and one of those people that he's really able to open up to is Marinette. So he starts to like her, and she starts to like his genuine, fun, loud personality as opposed to his model image. When he starts at school, it would be the same. He begged to be let in, but he doesn't act that way. There's initially only one person that he's actually comfortable around, and that is Chloe, because they are childhood friends. He thinks of her like a sister, and she is really the only person that understands the pressure that they're under. So he is very close to Chloe. And he continues to be friends with Chloe throughout everything, and this encourages her to be a better person. Chloe is also very aware of Adrien and his status, and I don't want her to be, like, in love with him or anything. So I want her to genuinely think of him like a younger brother or a close friend, and she's protective in that regard about him because she knows how hurt he has been in the past and how people want to use him. So she's very cautious of others. Both of them are very cold and don't really interact with others. Adrien, however, makes his first friend in Nino. So Nino is the first person who approaches him to be friends that is genuine, and initially he is skeptical and doesn't believe it, but Nino is just so genuine that he carves a place for himself in Adrien's heart, and Adrien starts to really care a lot for Nino. Nino is very dear to him as his first friend, and he thinks very highly of him. Adrien loves Nino and vice versa. Nino loves Adrien. He is there for him. He cares for him. And it's just a very genuine platonic bond that they have. And I just love that idea. The first person that Adrien opens up to is Nino. So I think that they need to have a much more prominent relationship because I feel like Adrien and Nino's friendship wasn't even acknowledged past a certain point more than was necessary. So I would love to have them have more friendship moments. Over time, Adrien starts to be more open and vulnerable. He starts to let actual aspects of his personality come through and is able to truly be himself as Adrien and not just as Chat Noir. Let's talk about the plot and how I think it should go from season 1. So this is not going to be great, but I kind of was thinking and I'm like, it's a start, so bear with me. This is an amazing plot, but I tried. So to start off, Origin should be the first episode, and it should be basically the same as it is in canon, but we should start to have a sign pointing towards who Hawkmoth is, but I don't think Hawkmoth's identity should be revealed until the end, or like halfway through the series. We get a little history lesson about the Miraculous and a little bit on why Hawkmoth wants it, but nothing too detailed. Overall, Origin's episode is the same, but just a few differences here and there. Plot should follow both Marinette and Adrien, not just Marinette. For Marinette, it should be her dealing with her struggles as a fashion designer, her stress with being Ladybug, while trying to figure out what Hawkmoth's plan is. Meanwhile, Adrien should have a decent amount of moments where he is opening up, making friends, being vulnerable, but also a great amount of time should be spent with him trying to figure out who Hawkmoth is, and trying to piece together the clues and everything. So Marinette will be living in more of a slice of life with some superhero elements, and Adrien will be in a detective/suspense. I do think that Adrien has a much larger connection to the whole Miraculous thing than Marinette does, so I think he should focus on it more. And instead of Marinette being the one who talks to Master Fu, it should be Adrien. And Master Fu will just be a better person in this in general because I really don't like him in canon. Because to start with, he isn't giving a huge responsibility to teenagers in this rewrite. He's giving these powers to adults in like university or college. And he gives both Marinette and Adrien the opportunity to give away Miraculouses later on, not just Marinette first. Anyway, Adrien in the rewrite just goes to Master Fu more to get answers or to share his findings more than Marinette does because he has a reason. Adrien will start his investigation around the time that he finds the book. So I know in canon he finds the book in the episode Volpina, but since I rearranged the season, that would be last. And while I still think that episode can have plot and lore with the book, as stated earlier, he should find the book and be reading it a few episodes earlier and actively be doing research on the Miraculouses. After the whole Volpina thing, he starts to think about other Miraculouses and goes to Master Fu, who tells him about the Miraculous, so he starts to think about who Hawkmoth is, and also starts to suspect his father a little, wondering how he has this book. Gabriel doesn't realize the book is missing, so Adrian, after the whole Lila thing, makes an identical copy of the book to have for himself, puts the original book back. And Gabriel just doesn't realize it. There can be filler in between, as well as episodes rewritten to highlight Chloe's character development and Marinette and Adrian's budding relationship, but I kind of want the Hawkmoth reveal to be at the end of season 2, after Adrian is closing in and is super close to finding out it's his dad. And then the last half of the season sort of reveals it to us and also to Adrian. As far as Gabriel's motivations, I think they'll be kind of the same. It'll be that he wants to bring his wife back and be kind of a happy family again. So in this rewrite, Gabriel is an absent father, but he still loves and cares for Adrian. So he dotes on him with monetary things, clothes, shoes, etc., accessories, etc., not realizing that Adrian needs him to be a parent figure. And Gabriel also is afraid of being close to Adrian because he doesn't want to lose him like Emilia. That's her name, right? I think it's Emilia, Adrian's mom. So he acts cold, even though he does care. I think it's a lot more compelling to have a villain genuinely care about their child and the hero then, by extension, instead of them not caring at all. I think it adds depth to their character and allows them to be more complex and three-dimensional. Gabriel wants to bring his wife back, so he wants to use the miraculous, which grants him ultimate power or a wish for a price. And in the book, maybe, let's just say, it says you must lose that which makes you human, or whatever. Or something about losing your heart or your soul. So Gabriel takes this literally and assumes that he will just have to sacrifice something of himself, like his own soul or his humanity, to bring his wife back. And that is something that he is okay with doing. He just wants his wife to be alive. In his mind, there is no negative outcome, so he doesn't see why he can't just get the miraculouses. He is very desperate and feels like he doesn't have anything to lose, so he is very aggressive in his demands of the Akumas. And the Akumas get more and more dangerous as the season goes on and as Gabriel becomes more and more desperate. So Ladybug and Chat Noir are experiencing life-threatening danger and more damage is done to Paris, and it's becoming irreversible even by the Lucky Charm. The appearance of buildings might go back, but their actual infrastructure gets weaker and weaker, so we see a lot more destruction and chaos near the end of season 2. And at the end of season 2, Adrian somehow figures out that Gabriel is Hawkmoth. It is kind of obvious, so I don't think I need an explanation for how he did it. Let's just say he put together the pieces or found his secret room or I don't know, something. Adrian's smart, he'll figure it out. So he decides to confront him as Chat Noir, not as Adrian. And Gabriel is like unhinged at this point, so he just straight up knocks Chat unconscious and then makes like a big spectacle out of it to draw out Ladybug, and so Marinette shows up as well, demanding that he let Chat go. Gabriel sends out a bunch of Akumas or something, and Ladybug can't beat them, so she ends up being captured as well. And in the middle of that battle, Chat wakes up. So now Hawkmoth has both Ladybug and Chat Noir, and he learns from his mistakes, and he does not waste a second monologuing or anything. He grabs Ladybug's earrings, and Marinette's identity is revealed. He's a bit shocked, but laughs a little, saying that he can't believe that his greatest adversary was right under his nose, dating his son to boot. Let's say sometime in the middle of season 2, Marinette and Adrian start dating, and we can add another season to have 3 seasons if the pacing needs it, but I digress. Anyway, back to the plot. Marinette realizes that this is Gabriel Agreste, but his identity does not get broadcasted. Chat is surprised that Marinette is Ladybug, obviously, but he doesn't have time to think about it before Gabriel takes his miraculous as well. There is a long silence. Gabriel is shaken that Chat Noir was Adrian, and he has a crisis when he remembers the times Chat almost died and how he hurt Adrian, and he loses it even more. He grabs Adrian, hugs him, and then captures him in this bubble-like thing. He's delusional at this point and is like, I have to keep you safe for your mother and for me and everything. And Adrian is like trying to plead with him that this is a bad idea, but Gabriel does not listen. He goes through with the thing, and he starts to see Emilia coming back to him. I have to look, okay, give me a second, let me check her name, bro. I don't remember her name. Emile. Yeah, Emilia. Emile? Close enough. Emile. So, he starts to see Emile coming back to him, And then he hears Adrian cry out. Remember earlier when I said it takes your heart or soul or whatever, or it makes you lose what makes you human or that stuff? Well, Gabriel assumed it meant literally his life or heart or something, and he was okay with being dead or incapacitated if it meant his wife would come back. But these rituals are tricky, so his heart is the person that he cares about the most, which is Adrian. So in order for him to get his wife back, he needs to sacrifice his son. An equal exchange, if you will, a life for a life. So he freezes, but doesn't stop the ritual. So Adrian is dying, and he is sobbing at this point from pain and grief. Gabriel then snaps out of it and tries to stop the thing from happening, but he can't because once it's started, it won't stop until the ritual is finished, unless the person performing the ritual dies. So Gabriel realizes this, I guess, and he releases Adrian and Marinette. He hugs Adrian goodbye while Adrian is crying out in pain and says that he is so sorry. He then, jumps off the Eiffel Tower or somehow kills himself. I'm not sure how. The logistics are not that important. Therefore, ending the ritual and saving Adrian's life. I know it's a bad ending. I honestly could not think of anything else or anything more fitting for this rewrite. He dies, Adrian is devastated, and their identities are revealed. It's honestly up in the air if Marinette uses the Miraculous to erase everyone's memories of the event, but the final scenes are Adrian mourning, their identities being revealed to each other, and so they talk it out, and then they obviously show the progress of the relationship, and maybe it ends with Adrian reading a letter from his mom or dad talking about how much they love him, and how they wish the best for him, and maybe Adrian and Marinette continue to be superheroes because various other things exist, like maybe the box of Miraculous was stolen in an earlier episode, or some of the Miraculous from other parts of the world start emerging, and they have to deal with that, and they team up with other Miraculous users. Maybe that could be a movie or something. I know this video is not as cohesive as it could be, but I do think that this show could be so good if it was properly animated, had a good plot, had darker themes, had better characters, so I thought why not give it a whirl. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more. I am working on a number of different videos on various different topics, and my next video is actually going to be a part analysis, part theory on Hannibal, so if you're interested, definitely subscribe. That's a hell of an overlap, isn't it? Miraculous to Hannibal. Also, tell me what you think of the rewrite, tell me how you would rewrite it, and yeah. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. I will see you next time. Bye!